On today's show, I get to review a watch where the question is, does big mean better? Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Now, I took a photo of today's watch and posted it on the community section just with the word thoughts. And the comments were quite similar. That's too big. If they did this smaller, I'd buy it. Design is well done, but too big. This one looks a bit too big for you. Why are you wearing your dad's watch? That one hurt. Too big. Too big. Too big. Too big. So we get the consensus of what most people think about the Tudor Black Bay GMT. This year, a lot of Tudor fans were hoping and praying for a GMT in a Black Bay 58 case. Instead, what they did is they brought out the same GMT as the one they did in 2018, but with this new opaline dial. Not white, not silver, but it is the first Black Bay GMT I've ever had on the show, and I thought I'd get this one in just to get my thoughts on it. So, is this watch too big? Is it unwearable? And is it worth the money? Plus, at the end, you'll get to hear my wife's thoughts. This watch was sent to me by WATCHFINDER. Yeah. I'm reviewing it and I'm sending it back. Are you, Tudor GMT, ready? Let's go. So here it is, the Black Bay GMT opaline dial, released at Watches and Wonders 2023. This is a hot release.
No matter how big it looks.
Very striking looking retro vintage watch, isn't it? Right up my alley, really. Very reminiscent of an old Rolex GMT reference for Pan Am. I'll be comparing it with my Black Bay 58 soon, but right now, looking at it, holding it, it's a big slab of metal, isn't it? The sides of this case is really putting me off already, but I love that big crown at 3 o'clock. The blue and the red colours of that aluminium bezel are beautiful, and the dial is actually really striking. And first impressions, this thing looks big, but it's nice. Quick spec check! So, like the original Black Bay divers, this has a 41mm case, but it is 15mm thick. It's also got a lug to lug of 50mm, and we've got a lug width of 22mm. So this is definitely beefier than my Black Bay 58s. Is it gonna look silly on my wrist? We'll soon find out. We've got a lovely box sapphire crystal protecting the dial, a screw down crown. We also have a typical plain screw-in case back. This watch is not a diver, but we do have 200 meters of water resistance. I'm already thinking to myself, could they not have taken the water resistance down to 100 like the Rolex GMT and made that case a little bit thinner? The bezel is beautiful though. It's an aluminium insert and has 48 clicks using those ceramic ball bearings like my Black Bay 58s. It doesn't have the same satisfying clicks as my 58, but being honest, I think it's still better than the Rolex GMT's bezel. Have a listen. And now have a listen to my Black Bay 58. Much more satisfying for me. Having said that, I do love the colours of this. Proper vintage red and blue, and for me, much better colours than the up-to-date Rolex GMT. The bracelet is very similar to my Black Bay 58. For anyone that doesn't like the faux rivet look,
look away now.
I actually really like it. I love the polished ends to the size of the links. As this is a 2023 model, a lot of people were surprised that we didn't have the T-fit clasp that Tudor are slowly rolling out on all their new releases. But I've got to say, I've always found a Tudor bracelet very, very comfortable. And with the 3 micro adjusts, I've always managed to find a good fit. Okay, let's look at the face. Dial time. I really do like this dial. This not white, not silver looking thing. There are a couple of things that are sort of mishmashy to me in my brain. The minute track going along the outside is in black printed, and instead of the applied indices having a silver frame, I think they should have been black, just like the Rolex Explorer 2.
Legibility would be whoa.
I don't think that super luminova greeny colour goes particularly well with this opaline dial. I don't know, I'm warming to it. The handset do look a bit thinner and longer than my Black Bay 58, but everything on this dial is very well executed, it has to be said. I've said it to you before and I'll say it again. I don't like seeing a non-diver from Tudor having snowflake hands. In the late 60s, the snowflake handset and dial was created with the French National for better legibility under murky water. But it seems Tudor think that that snowflake handset is, you know, their calling card these days, and anything Black Bay day has to have a snowflake with it.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
So we've got lume on the handset and lume on the indices, not on the lume pip on the bezel because this is not a diver. Out of 10, let's see how this puppy glows. So yes, very nice, very legible, and because we've got those big blocked snowflake hands, coupled with an upside down triangle at 12, and the lack of a lume plot at the date window, legibility is pretty high. So powering this big boy is an MT5652. 28,800 beats per hour, 70 hours power reserve. It's a COSC certified movement. When it comes to accuracy, the parameters are +6 or -4 seconds a day. This movement allows the hour hand to be independently moved from the rest of the hands, which means it's a true GMT. Unfortunately though, there is no quick set date. So if you want to change the date, that hour hand needs to go around the dial twice, which is a bit of a bummer, but that's how it works. All in all though, a lovely movement to operate, particularly with this really big crown. It feels like you're operating a luxury watch, and that's how it should be.
Hello.
On my 6.5-inch wrist and face on, I think it looks nice. It really does pop off the wrist. It's when you see it at any other angle, you realize that this is too big. I'm a Black Bay 58 owner. Wearing this watch feels like I'm wearing a Black Bay 58 homage. You know, a Chinese special with an NH35 in the back of it. The head is very weighty. It's not particularly comfortable on my wrist. Quite ironic that this watch that was sent to me from WATCHFINDER is actually sized for my wrist, which means there was some poor schmuck with my wrist size that bought this watch when it was new.
What was he thinking?
No surprise why he sold it to WATCHFINDER. Anyway, outside, and I do like the way this looks. Face on. There is no reason why luxury watches with a GMT function should be that thick. What happened to the old days when brands went head to head with other brands to see who made the thinner watches? When I see a watch with a thickness like this, it just shows a lack of refinement to me. I got to review the Rolex GMT, the current model, which I might add is Tudor's dad, although I don't like the showiness or the gaudiness of the GMT these days. 40mm diameter, 12mm thick, 48 lug to lug, 20mm lug width. It's a perfect size GMT. It's probably the leader in its field. So why the heck has Tudor shot themselves in the foot? Can you imagine Paul Newman rocking up to a dinner party with this slab on his wrist? So there we go, the Black Bay 41 GMT. A watch that is very nice and attractive in the hands, but on the wrist, it just feels and looks too awkwardly big. Obviously, there are people all around the world that love the size of this thing, have accepted the thickness, and defend it with honor. Let me give you a comparison with my Black Bay 58s. What a difference 3mm makes to the diameter. Size does matter.
That's what she said.
But again, I quite like the size of the face. Put the profiles of these two together, it looks like I've got a Black Bay 58 and a Black Bay 58 homage from China. The really worrying thing is though, there are homages out there of a Tudor Black Bay GMT that look better in size. Now I know as well as you, Tudor are milking this GMT until there's no more milk to milk. There's a reason why this didn't get a T-fit clasp, because it's going to come in a Black Bay 58 case. Truer to more of a vintage size, better looking in proportions. Why this has to be 200 meters water resistance and not 100 like its bigger brother, the Rolex GMT. Surely it would take the thickness down a little bit. My advice to anyone that enjoys the look of this watch, just wait a year. We know that a 39mm Black Bay 58 GMT is but months away. Like I said, they're milking this 41 case. It's definitely going to have a T-fit clasp on it. It'll definitely be thinner than this one. But do I think it's worth it? I've got to say, for what you get, yes, it is worth it, definitely. As a thing, as a product, from a heritage brand, it's a great vintage looking piece. The only trouble is the dimensions of this watch doesn't make you feel like you're wearing a £3,000 one. It makes you feel like you're wearing a £100 one. That's just my opinion. Tudor always makes a very good watch apart from the Ranger. If you like one of these, if you own one of these, good luck to you, congratulations to you, because it's still a good looking watch. Here it is, the wife's first impressions of the Black Bay GMT opaline dial. My, this is big.
That's what she said.
I quite like the look of it. It reminds me of snow, but there is a lot of metal here. Who would wear it? There are quite a few that wear them and enjoy them, to be fair, wifey, but I see where you're coming from. Thank you so much to Watchfinder for sending me in another beauty. If you like more of the Mad Watch Collector Show, why don't you click here, join, or if I've got you here for a few more minutes, why don't you click here? Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. What a show this is. Go on, click it, it's great. Go on, click it. Click it!